For the better part of a century, one thing ran the world: oil. It dictated who had power, who had wealth, who went to war. But that's all changing. A new era is dawning, and it's not powered by something black and liquid, but white and solid. Yeah, we're talking about the new oil.
I mean, think about it. The whole story of the 20th century could be measured in barrels of oil, black gold, right? Well, the story of our century, it's being measured in batteries. Batteries filled with what a lot of people are calling white gold. This shift, it's not just coming, it's already here, and believe me, it is completely reshaping our world.
So how in the world did we get here? Let's really dig into this massive shift. It's a huge story, moving from the age of oil and gas, hydrocarbons, that basically defined the entire last century, to a whole new era, an era defined by one single, unbelievably light metal.
Seriously, just think about it. For over 100 years, if you had oil and gas, you had power. Period. Countries literally went to war over it. You could trace it all the way back to Winston Churchill deciding the British Navy should run on imported oil instead of Welsh coal. He even bought a stake in the Anglo-Persian Oil Company just to lock down supply. From that moment on, so much of modern history has been about the fight for hydrocarbons.
And now? Well, that entire power structure is being flipped on its head. There's a new resource taking center stage in geopolitics, and its name is lithium. It's the absolute heart of the Green Revolution, not to mention the soul of pretty much every device in your pocket.
Okay, so what's the big deal with this one metal? What makes it so incredibly important? Let's get into the science a little bit and see what's behind this so-called miracle metal.
Right? Why lithium? I mean, why not magnesium or sodium? You can even get a current out of a potato if you try hard enough. So what is it? What makes this one little element so special?
Okay, so at its core, lithium is just a soft, silvery white metal. But it has two things going for it that are frankly kind of mind-blowing. First, it's the lightest solid element on Earth. The lightest. And second, it is super reactive. And that reactivity, that's its superpower. So you take those properties and they combine to make the perfect recipe for a modern battery. I'm talking high energy density, it just packs more punch for its size. It's lightweight, which is obviously crucial for everything from your phone to an EV. And that reactivity we talked about, it lets electrons flow really easily, giving you an efficient charge. You put all that together and bam, you get the rechargeable lithium-ion battery, the thing that has totally changed our world.
There's this fantastic quote from a researcher, Ernesto Julio Calvo, that just nails it. He says a battery is basically a small, controlled bomb. And he's right. You're cramming a massive amount of energy into a teeny tiny space. The real magic, the genius of the lithium-ion battery is that it can release all that power safely, efficiently, and do it again and again and again.
All right, so if lithium is the new oil, then the big questions are, where is it, and who's in charge? And just like with oil, the answers are redrawing the entire map of global power. But here's the twist. The real story isn't just about who has the stuff buried in the ground. It's about who has the power to refine it and turn it into batteries.
So if you just look at where the raw material is, it seems pretty simple. The power is concentrated in South America. A whopping 60% of all the lithium we know about is in this one region they call the Lithium Triangle. That's Chile, Argentina, and Bolivia. Australia and China, they've got a decent chunk too.
Okay, but hold on. Now look at this. Because having the raw stuff is one thing, being able to actually process it into something usable, that's a whole different ballgame. And in that game, China is the undisputed champion. They control something like 60% of all lithium refining on the planet. This isn't just about money, it's a brilliant strategic play to own the future of energy. All that raw lithium from all over the world, it funnels straight to China. So let's break down the key players here. You've got Australia. They're the #1 producer. They dig more of it out of the ground than anyone else. But what do they do with it? They mostly ship it. You guessed it, to China. Then you have Chile, the #2 producer, and they're super efficient at pulling it out of these massive salt flats. And then there's China, the dominator. They don't just refine it, they control the whole supply chain, right down to the giant companies making the batteries, like CATL and BYD.
So as you can imagine, this imbalance has kicked off a brand new global race. It's not the kind of hot war we saw over oil with tanks and planes. No, this is a quieter, more strategic race, a 21st century gold rush to secure access to the world's most critical metal.
And if you're wondering why everyone is scrambling, well, this chart says it all. The demand for lithium isn't just growing, it is absolutely exploding.
And it's almost entirely because of electric vehicles and storing renewable energy. I mean, get this. The International Energy Agency thinks demand could jump by more than 700% by 2030. That's not a gentle slope. We are on the vertical part of a rocket launch here.
And you better believe the major world powers are making their moves. China played the long game, getting a huge head start back in the 2010s by investing in mines everywhere through its Belt and Road Initiative. Now the US is playing catch-up, pouring money into a domestic supply chain with the Inflation Reduction Act. The EU is doing the same thing with their own Critical Raw Materials Act. And you've even got countries like India announcing massive new discoveries trying to get in the game. The race is well and truly on.
But, just like every gold rush in history, this one has a dark side. The shiny promise of clean energy, well, it's built on a foundation of mining and extraction that is often anything but clean.
Just take a look at this number. To get 1 single ton of lithium from those salt flats in Chile, miners have to evaporate almost 2 million liters of water. Gone. Poof. Into the air. And this is happening in some of the most arid, water-starved places on the entire planet.
So this forces us to ask a really tough question, right? We're all in on this metal to build a sustainable future, but are the ways we're getting it sustainable at all? Because the hidden costs are really starting to pile up. You've got indigenous communities in places like the Atacama Desert facing critical water shortages because of the mining. The process of brine extraction can wreck fragile ecosystems and degrade the soil. And the hard rock mining, it's super energy intensive and often just powered by old school fossil fuels. And we haven't even talked about the waste crisis that's coming. A literal tsunami of used batteries from EVs. And get this, from millions and millions of disposable vapes, each one with a tiny lithium battery that almost never gets recycled.
Okay, that all sounds pretty bleak, I know. But the story doesn't end there. Because this massive race for lithium has kicked off a second race, a race to innovate and solve the very problems that the first race created. And people are working on some really promising solutions. For starters, better mining. There are new methods like direct lithium extraction that can pull the lithium straight from brine using way less water and land. It takes days, not years. Then there's the idea of a circular economy. Think about it. We learned how to recycle 99% of the lead-acid batteries in our cars. We absolutely have to build the systems to do the same for lithium. And finally, people are looking at totally new chemistries, things like sodium-ion or solid-state batteries that could help us move away from being so dependent on this one single metal.
So where does all this leave us? Well, one thing's for sure. Lithium is the new oil. It's the key strategic asset that's going to power our future. But this whole transition leaves us with a huge, profound question. Are we going to learn from the mistakes of the past? Can we actually manage this incredible resource without repeating the same old story of conflict, environmental disaster, and inequality that came with the age of oil? Honestly, that's the real test for the 21st century.